Hello and welcome. In the next few minutes we will set up the environment on a Windows machine. For this tutorial, I will use Linux. So that you can follow with the tutorial, let's install Cygwin, which will provide a Linux-like console, and also some very useful tools. In the browser, let's do a search for Cygwin. Click on the first result, which should lead to cygwin.com. In the left panel, choose Install Cygwin. Click on this setup.exe link to start downloading. After download finished, open Setup. Hit Next at the welcome screen. We do want to download from internet, so just click Next. Installation directory is up to you, however it is recommended that you don't change it. The local package directory is where all the downloaded files will be stored, and wherefrom you can reinstall them if you need to later. This is up to you. Here you must choose your internet connection. Choose Use Internet Explorer proxy settings if you are unsure about this. Now choose a download site. I will just leave the first in the list. Now this is an important step, don't just hit Next. Click on the plus near Devil, and let's see what we need. First it's menu tiles, which contains some essential tools, such as the LD linker, also GCC core and GCC G++. Although we won't use C++ to make the kernel, it can be used to make some parts of the operating system, such as a shell, which we will talk about later. The last thing we need is NASM, or NetWide Assembler. We can click Next. This is all we need for now. You should see this screen as well. There are some packages that we did not select, but the tools we selected need them. Make sure Select Required Packages is checked, and hit Next. This setup will download and install the required files. This should take between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on your computer. The installation is now finished. You can click Finish. Now let's open Cygwin, which should appear on the desktop. Inside the root folder, you should see a couple of folders. Inside Cyg drive there is the C and other drives that you have on your computer. Use the CD command to navigate through folders, and LS to display the content. There are a couple of other tools that we need. First is an editor. You can choose between Notepad 2 or Notepad++, which both have syntax highlighting. Take the one you feel more comfortable with. You can use an IDE such as NetBeans, Eclipse, or anything you like, but you won't be able to compile and debug, just write the code. Some IDEs are useful because they support something like the IntelliSense in Visual Studio, which can reduce the number of errors, and also the code writing time. This is where you can get Notepad 2 from, and this is how it looks like. And this is where you can get Notepad++ from. And this is how it looks like. We will need an emulator. In our case we will use VirtualBox. This is where from you can get it. The box debugger is another useful tool, but we will not cover it in this tutorial. This is where you can get it from. HXD is going to be very useful when we will work on file system drivers. This is where you can get it from. This is all we need. See you in the next episode, when we will embark on the mission of creating our very first operating system. The second part of this episode is a setup guide for Linux. So, see you in the next episode, and until then, happy coding! Hello and welcome. In the next few minutes we will set up the environment on a Linux computer. Linux will be the development environment that I will use in the following tutorials, so let's prepare everything we need. As a note, I can say that setting up Linux is way easier than Windows. This is because we can get everything we need from a single place and not have to go to thousands of websites searching for the tools. Let's open the console, one thing Linux users are so proud of, and let's type GCC and press enter. If GCC is installed, it should say no input files, otherwise the system will say that it is not installed. GCC should already be installed on your machine. If it's not, just type sudo apt-get install GCC. The second thing would be the editor. gedit is the default text editor on Ubuntu, and it also includes syntax highlighting. If you don't like it, there are many alternatives for writing code. I strongly recommend that you go into Preferences and check the following checkboxes. Display line numbers, highlight current line, and highlight matching bracket. Also, if you prefer spaces instead of tab characters, just like I do, in the Editor tab, check Insert Spaces instead of tabs. Another useful thing is the automatic indentation, so you don't have to press tab for every line. If you prefer using an IDE, mainly for its IntelliSense-like feature, I recommend NetBeans, or Eclipse if you are a more advanced user. To install NetBeans, type sudo apt-get install NetBeans. Same thing for Eclipse, but you need to install the C and C++ modules, otherwise it will only work with Java. You can find these in the Synaptic Package Manager. The next tool on the list is NASM. Simply type sudo apt-get install NASM. Although we will not use Box in this tutorial, it is a useful debugger for operating systems. To install, use the same procedure as above. Next is the emulator. You can use GRUB if you are more familiar with command line, but for this tutorial we will use VirtualBox, because it is also available for Windows. To get it, we need to open the browser and download it from the official website. The i386 version is for 32-bit Linux, AMD 64 is for 64-bit. After installation it will appear in the Applications menu, under Programming. The next tool we will need is a hex editor. To find one, let's look in the Ubuntu Software Center. There is one called GNOME Hex Editor. This will be just perfect for our purpose. As you can see here, you can also get it using the apt-get command. The name of the program is ghex. This is all. Now we are ready to write some code. In the next episode, we will embark on the mission of creating our very first operating system. So, see you in the next episode, and until then, happy coding!